Anything in the Basement, Ohio, 2011. I never believed in ghosts until the night my brother locked himself in the basement and started talking to someone who was there. It started after we moved into that old house in Ohio. The landlord told us something strange before handing over the keys. He said, "If you hear knocking from below, don't answer." We laughed it off. Big mistake. The house was cheap to cheap. Peeling paint, old wooden floors that creaked even when no one walked on them, and the basement door was always cold. Not just cold like winter air, cold like something was breathing on the other side. My younger brother, Jake, hated it. He said every night he heard 3 knocks coming from down there. Knock, knock, knock. Same time. Every night. 3 up. At first, I thought he was imagining things. Until one night, I heard it too. Knock, knock, knock. Not loud. Not aggressive. But intentional. Like someone asking to be let in. I walked to the basement door slowly. My hand touched the handle, and I swear, it moved from the other side, like someone was trying to open it at the exact same time. I froze. Jake whispered behind me, "Don't open it, it gets angry when you don't answer." I turned to him. "What do you mean answer?" He didn't reply. He just stared at the door, smiling. That's when things changed. Jake stopped sleeping in his room. Every night, would find him sitting near the basement door, just listening, sometimes whispering. One night, I woke up around 3 a.m. Jake was in his bed. The basement door was open. I felt my chest tighten. We and Evie are open that door. Never. I grabbed a flashlight and slowly walked down the stairs. Each step creaked. Louder than usual. The air got colder, heavier. And then, I heard Jake's voice. "Yeah, I brought him." My blood ran cold. I turned the corner. Ow. Jake was standing in the middle of the basement, facing the wall, talking. There was no one there. "Jake," I whispered. He didn't turn. He just said softly, "Hey, she has been waiting for you." And then, the knocking started again. But this time, it was from the door. It was coming from inside the walls. Closer. Louder. Faster. Knock. Knock. Knock, knock, knock. Jake slowly turned his head toward me. His eyes looked wrong. Too dark. Too empty. He says, Jake whispered, "You should have answered the first time." Suddenly, something hit the wall from the inside. Hard. The wood cracked, and a hand, a black twisted hand, started pushing through the wall. I grabbed Jake and ran upstairs. We slammed the door shut. The knocking didn't stop. It followed us. Through the walls, up the stairs, into the hallway. That night we left the house. Never came back. Here's the part that still keeps me awake. 2 days later, the landlord called. He sounded nervous. He said, "You went into the basement, didn't you?" I didn't answer. He sighed and said, "You were the 3rd family." The landlord's voice shook as he continued. First family, their son, also heard the knocking. He started answering it. I felt my throat go dry. "What do you mean answering?" It was a long pause. Then he said something I will never forget. He knocked back. My heart dropped. Jake. Jake had been sitting at that door every night, listening, whispering, smiling. The 2nd family didn't last a week. The landlord continued. They opened the basement. What happened to them? I asked. Silence. Then slowly, he never left. The call ended. I turned toward Jake. He was sitting quietly on the couch, looking normal again. Too normal. Then, he tapped his fingers on the table. Softly, slowly. Knock, knock, knock. I froze. Jake looked at me and smiled. I still hear you, he whispered. And from somewhere, not the basement, not the house, Hey, inside the walls around us. I heard it again. Knock, knock. Knock. Sometimes the scariest things aren't what you see. It's what quietly waits for you to respond. The basement that was their Pennsylvania 2008. The real estate agents wore one thing before we bought the house. There is no basement. And for weeks, that was true. We checked everything. Floor plans, old documents, even the previous owner. Nothing. No basement. No hidden space. Nothing below the house. But then, one night, the floor started breathing. It was around 47 a.m. I woke up because my bed was vibrating. Not shaking like an earthquake, but rising slightly. Then falling, like something underneath was pushing upward. Slow, heavy, alive. I sat up, heart pounding, and then I heard it. A muffled voice, and below the floor. Hello? I froze. There was no basement. Can you hear me? The voice whispered again. Weak. Broken. Like someone trapped underground. I ran to wake my wife. He heard it too. We both stood there, listening. Then, a loud THUD hit directly under the floorboards. Gas fell from the ceiling, and a handprint slowly appeared, pressing up from beneath the wooden floor. We called the police. They came, checked everything, ripped open a small section of the floor. Nothing, just dirt. Cold, empty dirt. No basement, they said. Probably pipes or animals. But that night, it came back. Stronger, closer. This time, it knew our names. David. That was me. Open it. I couldn't breathe. How do you know my name? I whispered. The voice answered immediately. Because you live where I died. My wife started crying. I grabbed the hammer. I don't know why, but I felt like I had to dig. I smashed the floor. Again. 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 The wood cracked, then broke, and beneath it was not dirt anymore. It was stairs. Old. Rotten. Leading down into complete darkness. The smell hit first. Wet. Decayed. Like something had been rotting for years. My wife screamed. There was no basement. T-A-R-E-W-A-S. No B-A-S-C-M-E-N-T. But it was there now. Waiting. And from the bottom of those stairs, I heard it again. Closer this time. Clearer. Thank you for opening the door. I don't remember deciding to go down. But I did. Step by step. Into the dark. The temperature dropped instantly. My breath turned visible. At the bottom, there was a room. Small. Concrete walls. And in the center, a chair. With something sitting on it. At first, I thought it was a body. But then, it moved. Its head slowly lifted. Bones cracking. Skin stretched to tight. Eyes. Completely black. You took so long, it said. I tried to run. Up the stairs. We're gone. The basement was gone. Holy darkness. And that thing. It stood up slowly and smiled. You live here now. I don't remember how long I was down there. Minutes, hours, maybe days. Time didn't feel real anymore. That thing never rushed. It just watched me, smiling, waiting. Why me? I whispered. Its head tilted unnaturally. Then it spoke. Because you opened it. My chest tightened. Huh? No, there was nothing there before. It laughed. A dry, hollow sound. It's never there until someone lets in. I started to understand. The voice, the knocking, the pleading. It was asking for help. It was waiting for permission. Suddenly, I heard something above. Faint, distant. My wife's voice, crying, calling my name. David, please come back. Hope hit me like a shock. Him here. I screamed. Him down here. Thing's smile widened. She can't see you, it said softly. I looked up, and for a second, I saw it. A small crack of light. Like the floor above had opened again. I jumped, reaching for it, screaming. But before I could touch it, something grabbed my ankle. Cold. Rotten. Unnatural. I looked down. That thing was holding me. "You don't leave," it whispered. I screamed, kicked, fought, but it started pulling me back, slowly, into the darkness behind it. And then, everything went black. The next morning, my wife told the police everything about the voice, the floor, the stairs. They tore up the house, every inch. No basement, no stairs, no floor, just solid ground. He told her I ran away, that I lost my mind. But before she left the house for the last time, she heard it from beneath the floor, very faint, very weak. "Help me." It was my voice. And then another voice whispered right after mine, "Don't worry." He opened it. Not everything that asks for help wants to be saved. The camera in the basement, Illinois, 2014. We only found the camera because it was still recording. The house had been empty for months when we moved in. Cheap rent. Quiet neighborhood. No questions asked. The owner just said one thing before leaving. "Don't go into the basement if the light is on." At the time, it sounded stupid. A broken light maybe. Nothing serious. For the first few weeks, everything was normal. Too normal. Until one night, I noticed the basement light was on. I was sure we had turned it off. I always did. I stood at the top of the stairs, looking down into the dark. The light flickered at the bottom, buzzing, like it was struggling to stay on. Then, it turned off. Complete darkness. I felt a strange relief, like something had just stopped watching me. I laughed it off and went back to sleep. The next morning, the light was on again. This time, the basement door was slightly open. I froze. I remembered clearly. I had closed it, locked it. Slowly, I pushed it open. The smell hit first. Damp. Old. Like something had been sitting there for years. And then, I saw it. A small camera, mounted in the corner of the basement. Red light blinking. Recording. I walked closer, confused. I let someone this here. Next to it, a monitor. Old. Dusty. Still working. I turned it on. Static. Then, a video appeared. It was the basement. Same room. Same camera angle. Something was wrong. There was someone in the frame. Me. Standing exactly where I was. Watching the screen. My heart stopped. What? I looked behind me. Nothing. I looked back at the screen. The me inside the video. Smiled. I was smiling. My hands started shaking. Then, a version of me on the screen slowly turned its head and looked directly into the camera. Yeah, its eyes were completely black. And then its poke. You finally came down. I stumbled back. No, this is not real. But the screen didn't stop. It showed me walking closer to the camera, even though in real life I hadn't moved. Then, the video version of me whispered, "Watch behind you." My body went cold. I didn't want to turn. I couldn't, but something inside me forced it. Slowly, I looked over my shoulder, and there, at the top of the stairs, was me, standing, watching. Same face, same clothes, but smiling, wide, too wide. I turned back to the screen. The video version of me was gone. And now, the camera was showing something else. The stairs, empty. No one there. I looked back again. The thing that looked like me was gone. I heard footsteps running down the stairs. Fast, heavy, coming straight toward me. The footsteps got louder, closer, closer. I tried to run, but my legs wouldn't move. It felt like the air itself was holding me in place. Then, silent. I stood there, shaking, waiting. Slowly, I turned back toward the stairs. Nothing. Empty. I let out a breath. Maybe it was over. Then the camera screen flickered again. I looked at it, and my heart stopped. It was showing the basement. Not like before. This time, it was showing me, standing completely still, in the center of the room. From behind, I was standing there. I was in front of the monitor, watching it. No, I whispered. Then, a version of me on the screen slowly turned around. Its face was wrong, twisted, smiling too wide, haze completely black, and then it spoke. Switch. Before I could react, everything went dark. When I opened my eyes, I was still in the basement. Wait, something felt off. Wrong. I tried to move. I cowered. My body wasn't responding. Panic hit instantly. I tried to scream. Nothing. Then I saw it. The monitor. It was still on. And on the screen, I saw myself walking, moving, breathing. But it wasn't me. It was that thing, living in my body. It looked at the camera, smiled, and said, "HES in the recording now." My chest felt like it was collapsing. I looked around desperately, and then I realized the truth. I wasn't in the basement anymore. I was inside the camera, trapped, watching every movement, every step, every moment. Through that screen, days later, a new family moved into the house. The man went down into the basement. He saw the camera, the monitor. Curious, just like me, he turned it on, static, then video. And there, in the corner of the screen, barely visible, was me, banging, screaming, begging to be let out. But no sound came out. And behind him, very slowly, something that looked exactly like him started walking down the stairs. Some places don't just haunt you. They replace you. The locked door under the house, Michigan, 1999. Police report said the door was never supposed to be opened, but someone did. He bought the house cheap. Too cheap for a place that big. The previous owner had died alone. Natural causes. That's what they said. But when we moved in, we found something strange. There was a second door in the basement. Not like a normal door. This one was bolted shut from the outside. For heavy locks, rusty chains, scratches all over the wood, and on it, a message carved deep into the surface. DONOTOPEN. HEWILLPRETND. I laughed when I first saw it. Thought it was some kind of sick joke. My wife didn't. She refused to even go near it. Something's wrong with that door, she said, for weeks. Nothing happened until one night. We heard crying from behind the door. A man's voice, weak, broken. Please let me out. I froze. My wife grabbed my arm. "God," she whispered, but the voice kept going. "I've been here 4 days, please, I can't breathe." It sounded real. Real. "Someone locked me in here, please." My chest tightened. What if someone really was trapped? I moved closer to the door. "Hello," I called out. Crying stopped instantly. Silence. Then, very calmly, the voice replied, "You finally heard me." Something about that tone was wrong. I'm not desperate anymore. Not scared, just waiting. I stepped back. My wife shook her head. "Don't open it, please." But then, the voice changed again. This time, it sounded exactly like her. "Please, it's me, I'm stuck." My blood went cold. I turned to my wife. She was right next to me, terrified. But the voice behind the door was PRFECT. Every detail, every bit. Then it started copying me. "Open the door," it said in my voice. I felt sick. He backed away, locked the basement. But that night, the voice didn't stop. It kept talking all night, sometimes crying, sometimes laughing, sometimes mimicking us perfectly. Then, around 3 a.m., it said something that broke me. It whispered, "I'm already out." I sat up from bed. My wife was asleep beside me. Then I heard it from downstairs. Footsteps. Slow. Heavy. Walking around our house. I grabbed a knife and went down. The basement door was open. The locked door was still chained. Still sealed. But the voice was no longer behind it. It was right behind me, breathing softly in my ear. "You took too long." I turned. Nothing. Empty basement. Went upstairs. I heard my wife scream. I ran up and froze. Standing in the hallway was my wife, but something was wrong. Her face was smiling, too wide, high, completely black, and behind her, on the floor, was her real body. Not moving, the thing wearing her face tilted its head and spoke in a voice that kept changing. "See? I told you. You should have opened the door." My mind broke in that moment. I cowed and processed what I was seeing. My wife standing, smiling. My wife lying dead on the floor. The thing in front of me took a step closer. Its smile stretched wider, wide for a human face. "Which what do you think is real?" it whispered. Its voice kept shifting. Mine. Hers. A stranger's. Something inhuman. I staggered back. "This isn't real, this isn't real." It bluffed. A deep layered sound, like multiple voices speaking at once. Then suddenly, it stopped smiling. Its face dropped, blank, and in a calm, almost bored tone, it said, "You were warned." Before I could react, it rushed at me. Everything went black. When I woke up, I was in the basement, tied to a chair, right in front of that locked door. The chains were gone. The door was open. Darkness inside. Endless. And from that darkness, I heard breathing. Not one, many, dozens of slow wet breaths. I started screaming, trying to break free. Footsteps echoed behind me. I turned my head. It was me, standing there. Khan. Smiling, wearing my face perfectly. "You opened it," it said softly. I didn't. I screamed. It tilted its head. "You listened." My heart dropped. Behind me. From inside the open door, hands began to crawl out. Pale. Rotting. Too many. Grabbing the floor, dragging themselves closer. I felt something touch my back. Cold. Wet, I screamed. But the thing wearing my face just watched. "You'll keep them company," it said. "No one ever lasts alone down there." The hands grabbed me. Pulled. Hard. The chair snapped. I was dragged across the floor, toward the darkness. My nails scraped the concrete. I tried to hold on. Anything? But there was nothing. Only that door. That endless dark. And just before I was pulled inside, I saw it. A thing wearing me, walking upstairs, living my life, like nothing ever happened. Months later, the house was sold again. New family. New beginning. The police checked the place. They found something strange in the basement. A door. Bolted shut. Scratches all over it. And carved deep into the wood. DONOTOPN. HEWILLPRETEND. That night, the new owner heard it. A voice. Weak. Broken. From behind the door. "Please, let me out. Something's bound to escape." They just wait for someone new to believe them. The new owner stood there, hand on the lock, heart racing. The voice behind the door sounded weak, desperate. "Human. Please, I've been trapped." I can't breathe. His fingers tightened. He looked at the carved warning again. DONOTOPN. HEWILLPRETEND. He hesitated, just for a second. Then, he spoke. "Who are you?" Silence. Hey. Then slowly, very softly, the voice answered, Emio. His blood ran cold. I made the same mistake, the voice continued. I opened it now and stopped. The man stepped back, fear rising in his chest. No, no, that's not possible. Then the voice changed. It became clearer, stronger, confident. You don't believe me? It said. Then turn around. He froze. Every instinct told him not to. But, slowly, he turned. Standing at the top of the basement stairs was himself. Same face, same body. Watching him, smiling. The thing at the door whispered, Too late. The lights went out. A scream echoed through the house. Then silence. The next day, neighbors said everything looked normal. The owner was seen outside, waving, smiling, going about his day. But something felt off, because late that night, if you stood near that house, very quietly, you could hear it from beneath the floor. Not one voice, many, whispering, begging, crying, and among them, a new voice, fresh, terrified. Please don't open it, evil doesn't need to break in. It just needs you to open the door.